The skill of any agent is to reduce the days on market. We know that a really healthy marketplace is where properties are ideally selling in under 28 days. Now, regardless of whether or not you're an auction agent, a for sale agent, regardless of what works inside of your marketplace, we know that ultimately vendors want to get that level of feeling that there's a ton of momentum around what's actually happening with their campaign. Now, the easiest way to make sure that you keep days on market really short is to set some benchmarks so those owners know exactly what to expect at day 7, day 14, day 21, and day 28 inside of the campaign. And I then have some very simple rules that I also use when I'm actually helping agents to manage their existing stock. The first thing, without a doubt, is to make sure that we've got a second appointment on a property by day 9. We love getting buyers back to come have a look at a home. If we've got a buyer there with a tape measure, measuring out a particular location, then we know that ultimately we're going to be moving forward with people that are interested in purchasing the property. By day number 14, what we need to be doing is we need to make sure that we've actually got an offer. If we've got an offer, it changes everything for the owner, because then they have a conversation around their expectation, around where the market's actually responding, what the buyers are actually saying in relation to price, so we can have a better quality conversation around where things are at. Now, during a declining market cycle, one of the key things that we see is a lot of properties that have been on the market for a long period of time. We also see a number of property headlines around this particular person believes that property prices will be 20% off. But when you read the next line, it actually says from peak to trough. Now, if the market peaked in October 2021, and you start having a quick look about where we're at now, does that mean that the majority of that 20% off has actually already happened? And maybe there's only 3, 4, or 5% more to go. Your job as a great real estate agent is to make sure that you're following those very simple rules. So think about 9-14 and how that could ultimately change everything in the business. Now, let's say, for example, that you get to day 9 and you don't have a second appointment on the property. Well, what do you do next? Do you change the marketing? Do you change the price? Do you change the sale method? And/or are you in a position that naturally you go back and you do another buyer match? This is where it's critical to get back on the phone and to ring all the buyers that you know that have been through properties of a similar type over the course of the last 12 months. Find out who the people are that actually have an appetite and help them into a position where they go to purchase that particular home. Then there's that next skill that if you get to day 14 and you're not getting an offer, again, that's another buyer match, a change in marketing, a change in sale method, but doing something so that ultimately you're moving very quickly. The challenge is that most people are in a position that they're very logical in their approach. No, they're very emotional in what it is that they do. They say, well, just wait till next weekend. Oh, it was raining this weekend. Oh, there's something else that was on. And that's the reason why we didn't get anyone come back for a second appointment, was someone who actually wanted to go and make an offer. Well, the reality of it is that when you manage something logically, then you can move fast to make those changes occur. In a declining market, the longer that you wait, the more likely it is that property will sell at some level of a discount. Naturally, buyers are a little bit cautious. They're a bit worried about saying, hey, I don't want to go and buy that particular property because by the time I get to settlement, there's a fair chance that the property will be worth well less than what we actually believe that it's worth today. So what do? We make sure that we put the right energy into those campaigns. And if we're in a position that naturally we don't think the property is actually going to sell, then we need to go and make some changes. Sometimes that might mean pushing the auction date out by a week. Sometimes that might mean running the property to the auction and then actually putting a price on it within an hour of the auction to encourage buyer interest to still try to sell the property under those auction conditions to make sure that it's actually unconditional. And the skill is to make sure that we just don't pull the auction because we're not confident in our approach. Now more than ever before, days on market will become one of the more critical components in a real estate agent's career. What we know is that in the previous market, you might have listed 4 properties to sell 4 properties, but now in the current market, you might need to list 7 properties in order to be able to sell 4 properties as a part of the conversation. So the skill, keep the days on market short. Make sure that you follow your process around things like 9-14 so the new owners know exactly where we're at and what we need to do next as a part of the plan to maximize the sale price and to actually get the property sold.